With that, I'm going to turn it over to Nathan. And by way of introduction, just for Nathan, one thing we're really, really proud of at Jump is we created the company when AI was just getting good enough to be truly deeply embedded all the way down in a very powerful way. And this is important to us because when we look around, there are lots of opportunity. A lot of companies that have existed for a long, long time are adding AI functionality, and they're kind of struggling to bolt it on. And so, as you watch Nathan, one thing that's helpful to keep in mind, think about is like just how deeply AI goes in all of these systems. We're really proud of that. So, with that, I'm going to turn it over to Nathan.
Hi guys, my name is Nathan Collier. I'm one of the onboarding specialists here at Jump. And for these next few minutes, we're going to go through, what can you really do in Jump, and specifically with the integration with Wealthbox. So we're going to talk through some really great features. You could maybe classify what I'm about to talk about as level two. So this is under the assumption that you've been in Jump for a little bit, you know how to use the basic features. If you don't feel like you're at that point, still listen, still stay on. I'm going to make sure and throw out some resources at the end of this training so that you guys know where to go. If you do need level one help, like how do I log in or how do I send the note taker to a phone call? So we're going to make sure that we get everybody covered during this training. Now, the first thing that I want to talk about with you guys are some new features that we've released very recently within the last few months that you may not be aware about. The first feature I'm going to talk about with you guys is called the contacts feature. If you look on the left side of your screen in your Jump portal, you're going to see a button that says all contacts. And if you're logged into your Jump portal, I highly recommend taking a spin, looking at this contacts feature. This can do a lot of really cool things. For example, we're able to sync all of your contacts in Wealthbox right here into Jump so that you can do one more thing in Jump without having to jump to a separate system. So no pun intended. So the way this works is you search for that contact in Wealthbox, you click into their contact page, and you can do a couple of really cool things. One of my favorite things is you can now generate a pre-meeting prep on demand for that client. So if you're sitting there and maybe you have a meeting coming up or you don't have a meeting coming up and you just want a current update on where you're at with this client and you want to gather a lot of the information that you have logged about that client in Wealthbox, then you can click over to this pre-meeting prep tab on any of the contacts that you have in your CRM, and you can tell Jump to generate a pre-meeting prep now. Jump's going to use AI, scrape for data in Wealthbox, and then put together this pre-meeting prep note. So instead of the usual waiting for a meeting to show up in the upcoming tab, sometimes 24 hours or whatever you've preferenced, waiting for that prep to generate automatically, you can now go here, find a contact, and generate the pre-meeting prep on demand. Something else that I really love that we've added to the pre-meeting prep are pre-meeting prep sources. So as you're looking through a note, if you're trying to figure out, I don't remember this context that's included in this upcoming life event, can you show me in Wealthbox where you pulled that from? You're going to see these little pre-meeting prep sources that show up in the it'll show up with these little like Wealthbox logo, and it's a button that you click on, and this is a pre-meeting prep source. So if you click on the button, boom, you can click on the pre-meeting prep source. It says, hey, we pulled it from this event. And if you're thinking, well, this is great, but show me in Wealthbox, you can click on the pre-meeting prep source. It'll take you into Wealthbox and show you exactly where we pulled that information from. So I love this. It saves me so much time instead of having to bounce between systems. Because of these integrations, it really helps you be efficient, save a lot of time just by staying in Jump with all of your integrations that you have set up. Another cool feature with the contacts is as you're looking through your past meetings, as long as that past meeting is associated with this contact, then you can review the past meetings for each contact that's in Wealthbox. So you'll see that Jump is automatically going to link the contacts to the meetings as you're having them. But if you ever need to manually go to a meeting and link a meeting to a contact, you can just find the meeting in your AI process tab and click into that event. And you'll see this little button that's going to appear here. This is add attendees. And then you can click in, say, hey, Artemis was one of the clients here. we can go ahead and select, and boom, now if we go back to that contacts page, we'll see that that is one of the past meeting that's going to be showing up there. So I love the contacts feature. It's helped me save a lot of time already. So I'm sure you guys will be able to take advantage of that as well. Now, let's go ahead and fast forward to after a meeting. One of the cool features that we've added is sometimes after a meeting, you may want to add notes into a specific field in Wealthbox. For example, you may have, let's say, a contact in Wealthbox, and there's a field in Wealthbox that says retirement planning, and you want to be able to push the note that Jump generates directly into this field. Well, you guys may already be using this feature that we call an update existing record in Jump. For example, we're going to go ahead and go to one of these past meetings. We're going to click into it, and we have an automation that shows up in the top right corner that says update contact. And this allows me to push AI generated notes directly into an existing field. So that's not something new. If you are already using this automation, the thing that has changed with this is when you click into it, you can now decide which fields are you going to maintain what the AI generated for you, and which fields are you going to overwrite, or which fields do you want to keep original. For example, for this field, you can say, hey, this is what the AI generated, and we're going to fill it in the retirement planning field on the contact page in Wealthbox. Well, if you decide, you know what, I want to blend whatever I had in Wealthbox with whatever Jump typed out, that you can say, hey, let's go ahead and compare and edit. Jump is going to show you what's in that field currently in Wealthbox, what the AI generated, and then we can do a blended update for you if you'd like. Now, if more of your speed is you're like, you know what, I just wanted to overwrite what's in Wealthbox, you can use this drop down to change to update or overwrite. Or if you don't need to make a change to that field, you can use the keep original as well. So this really helps you making sure that you're syncing the right notes to the right fields. If you're very new to Jump and you feel like you knew everything, and maybe this is like such new information you didn't even know you could update existing fields, then I highly recommend reaching out to our customization team. Also, we can customize where notes land in your wealth box. We can also customize existing templates. For example, every time that you meet with a client, we use one of 5 default meeting types. Every new user gets these default meeting types. We're going to use client meeting, COI other, and so on and so forth. And the reason why these meeting types are important is because every single meeting type has a note template and a recap email template associated with it. So if you want your notes to be formatted a certain way for a discovery intro meeting, then reach out to our customization team. Or if you want to customize a recap email, that's another great reason to reach out to us. To give you an idea of what we received in terms of customization, some people, they really like the notes that we generate, but maybe for your client meetings, you want to add some additional sections and tell Jump to look for other pieces of information. We can add that in a note template. Maybe you really like the tables. Then you could say, hey, whenever you generate a note for my client meetings, I want you to throw a lot of these in tables. And then maybe you're on the other side of the room and you're like, I don't like tables at all. We can create a note template where we exclude tables from the note template. So there's a lot of different ways to explore customizations, but for you guys to get started, then you're going to click on this chat bubble in the bottom right corner. And this is how you can access our customization team. So you just click say, hey, I want to send a message to the customer support team, say that you have a customization request, and we'll get you in contact with our customization team. We have a form that you'll fill out just explaining what your customization request is. We also have a customization team you can meet with over Zoom if you'd rather go over your request there. So we see a lot of people benefiting from, submitting these customization requests. That's really how you maximize all of the features that Jump has to offer. So along with customizations, and that kind of falls under the note mapping if you want your notes to land in a specific place in Wealthbox. Another one of the new features that we recently released is auto sharing. a big topic here at Jump is if I go to a meeting and another Jump user goes to a meeting, who's going to get the notes for that meeting? Well, we've actually improved this process by coming out with a new feature that we call auto sharing. Now, you can actually set this if you're an account owner. You can go to your compliance tab and you can set this up for your account. Now, if you guys are an account owner, you'll go to compliance, you'll head over to meeting data, and here in meeting data, you're going to see a section that says meeting sharing. And what I recommend doing is selecting the option that says, hey, share meetings with Jump attendees automatically. And the way this is going to work is if two Jump users have the same calendar event, they're both invited to it, then they're both going to get access to the notes, regardless of whose note taker was in the meeting or not. So this mitigates the need for you needing to create team admins, if you don't want a team admin to see all of your meetings, or if you have somebody else on your team that you need to make sure that they can see the meeting notes for a meeting you joined, then this is a great default feature. As an account owner, you can also say, hey, you know what? Make it so that every meeting owner has to request permission. And then that user that didn't get access to the notes, they would need to say, yes, I approve or I deny this request. Or if you guys just want to let users select that option themselves, then what happens is users can go down to their user settings, head on over to the preferences tab here, and you'll find a section that'll say meeting sharing, and then you can leave it up to the user. We do default this option to require approval. And what this looks like is the user will get the share request button on the left of their screen that says, hey, somebody wants access to your notes, and you can approve or deny. And then that individual user can decide, hey, you know what? Go ahead and just automatically share my meetings if that Jump user was also an attendee on the calendar event. This next feature that I'm going to talk about with you guys isn't necessarily a new feature, but it's one that a lot of people don't realize, but we're capable of doing, is we're able to sync over your calendars directly from Wealthbox, which is helpful if you want those meetings to show up in the upcoming tab. And if you only schedule your meetings in Wealthbox, then this is definitely a feature for you guys. So the way that this works is after you get integrated with Wealthbox, you can visit your user settings in the bottom left corner of your screen, and you can head over to the Preferences tab. And then here in Preferences, you can actually go to the Calendar section and say, hey, you know what? I want to sync over my calendar into the upcoming tab. One of the reasons you may want this to happen is because that pre-meeting prep that gets automatically generated for your upcoming meetings, we can also send the note taker to your meetings automatically if we're syncing your events into the upcoming tab. So again, guys, if your main source of truth for events is in Wealthbox and you don't use like Outlook or Gmail, then this is a really good feature that I recommend utilizing. Another thing that Wealthbox users can do with the integration is after a meeting, when you're reviewing the notes that Jump generated, the tasks, one of the things that you can do is you can actually sync tasks directly to a workflow in Wealthbox. So let's go ahead and go to this meeting here, this call with Artemis. We're going to click on the Sync to Wealthbox button across from follow-up tasks. And then here, this is where you can view all of your tasks. One of the things that you can do is you can go to the type column and say, hey, I don't want to sync this over to a task. I want to sync this over to a workflow. And then this will show you, hey, here are all the workflows that are in Wealthbox, and you can say, hey, let's go ahead and sync it to this workflow, and let's get that workflow started. So you guys have quite a few options when it comes to syncing over your tasks. It's definitely one of my favorite things to do, especially if you have workflows and you'd rather just trigger it right from Jump. Way more efficient. This last feature that I'm going to cover with you guys is not new, but I'd say it's a hidden gem. Not a lot of people know about it. One of my favorite features is the Ask Anything tool. If you guys haven't gotten a chance to check it out, I recommend looking at this. Now we have a global Ask Anything where you can ask it about general meetings in your home tab, but on every single meeting that you have, right next to meeting notes is this tab that's going to say Ask Anything. And as long as the transcript is available, then Jump can use the transcript to answer questions like what did we discuss in this meeting? You can be super general, right? In this meeting, you can ask it basic questions. You can ask it to, you can give it prompts too, like, hey, list out in detail what they said about their goal for next year. One of my favorite things to do with the Ask Anything tool is to actually have Jump explain things that it said, like if it mentions something in the note or it mentions something in the recap email, and you're like, I don't remember this being discussed, you can highlight anything in the note or highlight anything in the tasks. And when you highlight, it'll give you the option to explain it. So you just click explain, boom, it goes to the Ask Anything tool, it pulls from the transcript, and then it's pulling directly word for word what was said. So you're able to say, oh, okay, this makes sense why this was included. You guys can do that in the Ask Anything tool. You can ask it things directly, or like I said, as you're looking through a note, or you're looking through a recap email, just highlight something. You'll get that explain button that'll pull up, and then you can have Jump explain why I included it in the outputs. Now, there's so many features that I could go over with you guys today. Those are just a few, both new and maybe some old but good ones, some hidden gems. As I mentioned, if you need to request a customization, I always recommend for new users, first make sure that you use Jump for a couple of weeks so you understand what the default recap email is going to look like, the default note templates. I actually met with someone recently that started to say, Nathan, I really want a recap email that does this, this, and this. And I said, you mean like this? And I showed them our default template. And he's like, that's great. So you may find the default templates are already fitting what you're trying to accomplish. But if you do have a customization request, don't forget this little chat bubble that's showing up in the bottom right corner of your screen. That's going to be your best friend. Use that to submit a customization request. You can also reach out to our customer support team. We have a great customer support team here at Jump. What a lot of people don't know is they're real people, first off. They sit right here in the office with me in Utah. We work from 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. Mountain Time. So if you reach out to us anytime during there, we'll make sure and get back to you as soon as we can. If you guys are like, man, today was a lot. This was definitely level 2 stuff, and I'd love more of an onboarding call, then please feel free to use this find a time button. Me and another onboarding specialist named Derek, we do a daily group webinar every single day, Monday through Friday, where we go through the very basics. We talk about how to log in. We talk about how to use the note taker in an in-person meeting, how to use it for voice dictations. So please feel free to join us on one of those group webinars. We have a really fun time. We also have a very beefy YouTube channel. If you guys really love listening to me and you want to hear me again, you can access our YouTube channel. Just click on visit our YouTube page for demo and training videos. We've posted a lot of videos on here. For example, we recently came out with the right capital integration. If you want to know about that, take a look at our YouTube channel. I also posted a very recent training that I did. It was the daily training that I just talked about. So if you guys want basics and you want to just go back through and listen through a recording, then check out this Jump Overview and Best Practices webinar. We did it just recently here in June, so it's very new, it's new content. That'd be a good one for new users to refer to.